It starts with a tremor, a subtle vibration that runs through the ground, unnoticed by most. It's a ghost of a feeling, a brief shudder in the bones of the world, eagerly dismissed as a passing truck or a distant train. But for those who listen to the planet's heartbeat, the seismologists, the geologists, the animals who suddenly fall silent, it's the first chilling note in a symphony of destruction. Then they look up, and the sky cracks open. Not with a sound, not with a flash of light, but with a horrifying, silent wrongness. Our moon, the silver coin of our nights, the poet's muse and the navigator's guide, is no longer where it should be. It's closer, visibly, undeniably closer. This isn't science fiction. This is a thought experiment pushed to its absolute limit. A terrifying what-if scenario that unravels everything we know. What if, against all cosmic odds, the silent dance between Earth and Moon was broken, sending our only natural satellite on a fatal, spiraling descent? For 4.5 billion years, she has been our constant companion, the Moon, born from a cataclysmic collision in Earth's violent youth. She has been locked in a gravitational embrace with us ever since. This embrace is the reason we have life as we know it. Her gravity pulls on our oceans, creating the rhythmic pulse of the tides. This ancient rhythm may have been the very crucible where life first crawled from the sea to the land. Her presence stabilizes our planet's swabble on its axis, giving us predictable seasons and a stable climate, preventing Earth from tumbling chaotically through space and turning our seasons into a lottery of fire and ice. But what could break such a timeless bond? It wouldn't be simple. Perhaps a rogue planet, a dark wanderer ejected from its own star system, careens through our solar system, its immense gravity jostling the celestial bodies like marbles, or maybe a cluster of black holes, small and ancient, passes just close enough to nudge the moon, decaying its orbit by a fatal fraction. The cause is almost irrelevant. The result is all that matters. The first official signs wouldn't be seen by the public but by a handful of horrified astronomers. A slight deviation in the lunar orbit, an anomaly. Calculations are run, then checked, then run again. The numbers don't lie. The moon is not drifting away from us, as it has been for eons. It has begun an inexorable, accelerating fall. The message is sent, quietly at first, to the highest levels of government and space agencies. A secret terrifying to release. But you can't hide the sky. Within weeks, the secret is out. The evidence becomes undeniable, not in scientific journals, but on every coastline on the planet. The tides become monsters. We call them peregrine spring tides, or king tides. When the moon is closest to Earth, every tide is a king tide, and the kings are angry. Coastal cities, the jewels of human civilization, become the first sacrifice. The iconic canals of Venice disappear beneath a permanently surging. The Thames Barrier, a marvel of engineering, is overwhelmed, and London's historic heart is submerged. In New York, seawater floods the subway system, not as a temporary disaster, but as a permanent new reality. Millions are displaced, creating a refugee crisis on a scale never before imagined. The world's great ports, the arteries of global trade, are rendered useless. The global economy grinds to a halt. But the water's just the beginning. The Earth itself begins to groan under the strain. The moon's gravity doesn't just pull on the water, it pulls on the very rock beneath our feet. The solid Earth tides, normally rising and falling by mere inches, now measure in meters. This constant, relentless flexing puts unimaginable stress on the tectonic plates. The ring of fire that encircles the Pacific Ocean becomes a non-stop chain of volcanic eruptions and catastrophic earthquakes. Cities like Tokyo, Los Angeles, and Santiago, built on fault lines, are shaken into rubble. The sky fills with a permanent haze of volcanic ash, dimming the sun and creating surreal, blood-red sunsets. It's a planetary fever, and the symptoms are just getting started. As the moon draws closer, it begins to steal our stability. That gentle 23.5-degree tilt that gives us our seasons, it begins to waver. The Earth starts to wobble like a dying top. The climate, a complex and delicate system, is thrown into utter chaos. The jet stream, the river of air that dictates our weather patterns, becomes a raging, unpredictable serpent. Imagine a blizzard burying the pyramids of Giza in snow. Imagine a scorching, month-long heat wave turning the Amazon rainforest into a tin. The breadbaskets of the world, the American Midwest, the plains of Ukraine fell completely, alternating between flash floods and blistering droughts. Global famine is no longer a threat. It is a certainty. The very air we breathe becomes alien. And all the while, she hangs in the sky above us, a constant, growing reminder of our doom. The psychological toll is immeasurable. Society begins to fracture. For some, it is a time of hedonism, of living out final days without consequence. For others, it is a time of profound faith, of prayer, of new religions born around the celestial executioner in the sky. Order breaks down. Governments become powerless. What is law? What is money? What is power? In the face of a falling sky. Now, The moon is no longer a celestial body. It is a world hanging over our heads. It fills a quarter of the sky. Then a half. You no longer need a telescope to see its geography. The Sea of Tranquility, where humans first walked, is a vast, dark plain visible to the naked eye. The Tycho crater is a spiderweb of scars. It is beautiful, and it is the most terrifying thing a human being has ever seen. It rises and sets with terrifying speed, eclipsing the sun for hours at a time, plunging the world into an eerie, prolonged twilight. The gravitational forces are now a physical torment. A person weighing 180 pounds would now feel like they weigh 185. It's a subtle but persistent strain on the body, on every structure. Birds struggle to take flight. Bridges groan under their own amplified weight. Skyscrapers, designed for Earth's gravity, begin to show stress fractures. The planet is being tortured, slowly and then we reach a critical point in this cosmic execution. We cross the Roche limit. The Roche limit. It's a point of no return, an invisible line in space. It is the distance from a celestial body at which a second body, held together only by its own gravity, will be torn apart by the first body's tidal forces. The Earth's immense gravity, which has been pulling on the moon, now becomes stronger than the moon's own gravity holding it together, and the moon begins to die. It doesn't explode, it disintegrates. First, it stretches, deforming from a sphere into a grotesque shape. Then, deep fractures, thousands of miles long, appear across its surface. With a silent, terrible grandeur, the moon shatters. It breaks apart into trillions of tons of rock, dust, and debris. The single moon is gone, replaced by a spectacular and deadly ring of lunar material encircling the Earth. It would be a sight of horrifying beauty, a celestial crown signifying our planet's death. This new ring doesn't stay in orbit. Pulled by Earth's gravity, it begins to fall. The sky is no longer just dark. It is on fire. A perpetual, global meteor storm begins, of a scale that makes the dinosaur-killing asteroid look like a pebble. Rocks the size of cars, buildings, and mountains rain down relentlessly. Cities, already broken, are now pulverized into dust. The friction from this constant bombardment superheats the atmosphere, boiling away the remaining surface water and turning the air itself into a scorching, unbreathable plasma. This is the final bombardment. This is the sky falling. But the main event is yet to come. The largest piece, the dense iron core of the dead moon, now makes its final, fiery plunge. Let's imagine its target is the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. The impact, at hundreds of miles wide, hits the atmosphere at tens of thousands of miles per hour. The sound is not a boom. It is a physical wave of pressure that circles the globe, rupturing the lungs of any living thing it touches. It strikes the ocean, but it does not make a splash. The kinetic energy release is so immense, billions of times more powerful than all the new weapons on Earth combined, that the ocean itself vaporizes instantly. Trillions of tons of water turn into superheated steam, expanding outward at hypersonic speed in a wave of sterilization that scours the continents clean. The impact carves a crater through the Earth's crust, thousands of miles wide and dozens of miles deep, instantly vaporizing the rock it touches. A shockwave of unimaginable power travels not across the surface, but through the planet. It rips through the mantle, through the liquid outer core, and converges on the exact opposite side of the Earth. The ground there, in what might be modern-day Botswana, ripples and then explodes outwards, a planetary wound bleeding molten rock into the void. Trillions of tons of vaporized rock and Earth's own mantle are ejected into space, blanketing the planet in a thick shroud of debris that blocks out all sunlight. The Earth is plunged into an absolute darkness that will last for centuries. The surface is no longer a world of blue and green, is now a global ocean of magma, a glowing red-hot hellscape. Life, in all its beautiful, resilient complexity, is over. The Earth's story, a 4.5 billion-year epic, has reached its final, violent chapter. Over millennia, the debris ring might coalesce into a new, smaller moon, which would orbit a barren, lifeless rock, a silent tombstone for a world that was once teeming with life. This is a hypothetical scenario. In reality, our moon is slowly, peacefully drifting away from us at a rate of about 1.5 inches per year. The gravitational dance is stable, the embrace is secure. But by exploring such an extreme, terrifying possibility, we can truly appreciate the profound, delicate balance that makes our existence possible. We live on a knife's edge of cosmic chance, in a universe that is both beautiful and terrifyingly indifferent. The next time you look up at the moon, that familiar, comforting light in the night sky, take a moment. Appreciate its silent vigil. Appreciate the stability it provides, the rhythm it gives our world. Because in its serene presence is the promise of another sunrise, another season, another lifetime on this precious, fragile world. What other cosmic what-if scenarios do you find both fascinating and terrifying? A rogue black hole, the sun extinguishing. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If this journey to the apocalypse captivated you, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the universe's greatest mysteries. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an expedition into the unknown. Thanks for watching, and sleep well if you can.